She called the cops and screamed, "Get him off my street!" But he was the one who'd been parking in my driveway every single morning. I grabbed the coffee and watched the same black Porsche settle across my driveway like it owned the place every morning for 2 weeks, while a teenager in a designer tee laughed and waved at neighbors. Karen stood on her porch like a queen, chin high, handing out fake HOA vibes and smirking when I asked politely to move it. I stayed calm because I knew losing my temper would hand her the angle she wanted, the viral clip, the sympathy. Still, my blood boiled when I found a note that said, "Private drive, do not park," stamped with Karen's HOA fake seal, as if she could sign away my mailbox. My son, my little dog, I couldn't have them squeezed out of their own home by entitlement. So I started doing small things. I filmed the morning routine, I logged dates, I watched the license plate. People think revenge means a loud fight, but it usually begins with quiet proof. "You don't get to buy respect with a Porsche," I said under my breath. And in that silence, something clicked. Not a plan yet, just a hard, patient promise. The next morning started with silence, the kind that comes before a storm. The Porsche wasn't there yet, but I knew it would be. Karen's son Tyler had a schedule tighter than a school bell. 7:15 a.m., engine roar, driveway invasion, smug look through the window. I watched from behind the curtain, coffee steaming in my hand. My dog Duke growled softly. Even he knew who that car belonged to. And right on time, the black Porsche slid into my driveway like it was his private parking lot. Tyler got out wearing sunglasses and blasting music from his phone, the lyrics echoing through the peaceful neighborhood. Karen stood across the street in her robe, fake smiling like she was proud of her little angel. My jaw tightened. I stepped out onto the porch, calm but sharp. "Morning," I said. "Mind moving your car? I've got to leave in a few." He grinned, leaning against the hood. "Relax, man. I'll be gone in 10 minutes. 10 minutes turned into 30. I stood there, arms folded, watching his reflection in my truck's window. He didn't move. When I finally walked up closer, Karen's voice cut through the air like nails on glass. "Don't you dare speak to my son like that!" I turned, stunned. "Ma'am, he's blocking my driveway." Karen crossed her arms, tilting her head. "This isn't your driveway. It's shared property, HOA rule. You should read the guidelines before making false claims." She said it with so much confidence, I almost questioned myself. Almost. But I'd been here long enough to know there wasn't any HOA. Our neighborhood had voted against it years ago. She was bluffing. "I don't think fake letters with made-up rules count as guidelines," I said evenly. Her smile vanished. "Excuse me?" "Yeah," I added quietly. "The one you taped to my mailbox last week with your own signature on it." Her eyes twitched. Tyler looked between us, confused. She turned on her heel and stormed back into her house. I knew she'd be back. That night, I heard voices outside, laughter, whispers, and then a thud. When I opened my door, I saw it. My trash cans were knocked over, spray paint on the driveway spelling "loser." Duke barked, furious. My hands shook, not from fear, but from rage. I cleaned the mess quietly, looked at the black Porsche parked across the street, and whispered to myself, "You wanted a war, Karen? You just got one." Then I opened my laptop, logged into my security cameras, and started building something that would make every lie she told crumble in front of her. You can mess with my trash, but not with my truth. The next morning, I didn't wait for anger. I turned it into work. I watched the camera feed back like it was a slow-burning fuse. Timestamps, footsteps, the way Tyler always kicked the curb when he walked away. I clipped every morning into neat little video bites, then added clear captions. Date, time, license plate, nothing flashy, just facts. I posted the first clip with a short line. "This car parks in my driveway every day. This is my house." It was straight, calm, and people noticed. Comments started small, neighbors tagging each other. Then a neighbor I barely knew sent me a DM with something that made my heart skip. A screenshot of Tyler's Instagram story laughing about best parking spot ever and tagging his mom. He'd been bragging. That little screenshot was the kind of paper trail that stings. It linked the kid to the stunt and Karen to the cover-up. I saved it, printed it, and added it to the file I was building. I called an old friend, Rosa, who used to work in records for the county. She owed me a favor from years back and didn't ask why. She just said, "Tell me what you need." By noon, she had a scanned map showing exact property lines and a printout of the parcel number that matched the deed in my attic. My chest tightened. The map was dry and legal, but it was a knife in Karen's bluff. Instead of showing anger, I used silence to force her to move. I dropped a single edited clip online that afternoon. 5 seconds of the Porsche pulling in, 5 seconds of Tyler's grin, then 3 seconds of the map overlay with the parcel line creeping over the driveway. No music, no yelling, just the facts sliding across the screen. The post went small at first, then someone local with a lot of followers reshared it with text, "This is petty and wrong." Views jumped. Calls came in from neighbors I didn't even know, offering witness statements and old photos of where the fence used to be. People began to connect dots I'd only started to gather. Karen panicked and made the kind of mistake that proves guilt. She stormed over that night and banged on my door like thunder. "You're harassing my family," she spat. "Take that down." I opened the door, held the tablet with the video up like evidence in a court, and stayed quiet. Her voice rattled in the porch light, loud and thin. She left furious, and within an hour, someone left a folded paper on my step. A printed complaint full of lies, claiming I'd threatened Tyler. The timing was perfect for her story. Too perfect. I didn't call the cops. I had learned patience. Instead, I called a lawyer I trusted, the same one who'd helped my sister once. She listened for 2 minutes and said, "Bring everything. Don't touch your posts." That line made me smile inside. I was doing this the right way. The lawyer told me to keep the evidence online and make copies. She also gave me a small but crucial tip. Get any witness contact information before Karen tries to bury them in paperwork. So I started knocking on doors, politely, getting names and short statements. A retired mail carrier handed me a photo from 10 years ago showing my driveway clearly within my property line. An old man who walked his dog every day agreed to sign a sworn statement about seeing Karen move a boundary marker years earlier. The real twist that night came when Rosa texted 2 words and a PDF. "Look closer." On the county record, the Porsche's registration didn't list Tyler as the owner. It listed Karen's husband. He'd been hiding behind his boy. That small fact changed everything. This wasn't just a spoiled kid being bold. It was a family defending a lie. I sat back and let all the quiet, careful work meet the noise she'd been making. People who hide behind kids usually forget the facts have names. The next day, the neighborhood felt different, quieter, like the calm before a public meltdown. People who used to smile at Karen now avoided her. Curtains moved when I walked my dog, whispers followed like wind. The video had done more than I expected. Karen's perfect image was cracking, and she knew it. At 7:10 sharp, the Porsche rolled in again. Tyler didn't even make eye contact this time. He parked, leaned back, and scrolled his phone. I could tell. His confidence was gone, replaced with the kind of stillness that only comes before guilt sinks in. But his mom? She wasn't ready to surrender. Not Karen. She came storming across the lawn, her robe flying like a cape, waving a folder in her hand. "You think the internet makes you right?" she barked. "You're slandering my family. You'll regret this." I didn't flinch. If the truth hurts, maybe stop giving it content. Her face twisted. "You don't understand who you're dealing with." That line made me laugh. Not loud, but deep enough that she heard. "Karen, I understand exactly who I'm dealing with." Before she could answer, a black SUV pulled up. Out stepped 2 officers, real ones this time. My stomach dropped, but my lawyer's voice echoed in my head. "Stay calm. Facts win, not volume."
Karen rushed toward them, all crocodile tears. "Officers, he's been harassing my son. He threatened him online." The taller cop looked at me, then back at her. "Ma'am, we saw the footage you sent, but we also saw the full clips from his channel. Nothing shows a threat." Her voice cracked. "He edited them!" The other officer sighed. "Ma'am, you filed a false complaint last week against another neighbor, right?" Karen froze. The whole street seemed to stop breathing. "Ma'am," the officer continued, "we've confirmed these documents are fake." He held up one of her infamous HOA notices, stamped with her made-up seal. "You don't have authority over this property." The color drained from her face. Tyler looked at her, wide-eyed, like he was seeing his mom for the first time, not as a protector, but as a liar. They didn't arrest her, not yet, but they warned her. One more fake report, and it's obstruction. She nodded, shaking, pretending to understand, but I could see it in her eyes. She was humiliated. After they left, she turned slowly, voice low but venomous. "You think this is over?" I met her stare. "No," I said softly, "it's just getting honest." That night, I posted a new clip. No words, no music. Just a 5-second video of the police SUV pulling away, and Karen standing frozen in her driveway. The caption read, "The truth doesn't need to shout." Within hours, it blew up. Comments flooded in. People shared their own HOA Karen stories, tagging mine as proof that sometimes silence hits harder than shouting. Quote, "You can't fake authority when the truth has a badge."
2 days later, the tension in the neighborhood felt like static in the air, quiet but ready to explode. Karen hadn't shown her face since the cops left, but her son's Porsche was still parked across the street, like a final act of defiance. Every morning it sat there, gleaming under the sun, like a taunt. I knew that car meant everything to her, not just because of the money, but because it screamed status. It was her proof that she was better than the rest of us. That morning, I stepped outside with a new calm. Not anger, not revenge, just a plan. I'd already spoken to my lawyer about the false HOA claims and the repeated trespassing. She'd given me the green light to take legal action. But instead of courtrooms and waiting months, I wanted to send a message that would echo louder than paperwork ever could. I called my friend Mike, a tow yard manager I'd known since high school, the same guy who helped me restore my dad's old truck. "You still crush junk cars, right?" I asked casually. "Sure do," he said. "Why?" I smiled faintly. "Because I've got a Porsche that's about to lose its parking privileges." He laughed, thinking I was joking. I didn't correct him, not yet. Later that day, I drove to the yard, showed him the legal notice and the injunction papers that clearly stated the car was parked illegally and without consent on my private property. Once he confirmed it, I told him my idea. He grinned wide, the kind of grin only mechanics get when something poetic is about to happen. "Just make sure it's all on camera," Mike said. The next morning, 7 a.m. sharp, I rolled my truck out before the Porsche arrived. I placed 2 small signs at the edge of the driveway. "Private property, trespassers will be removed." Right on time, Tyler came cruising down the street, music blasting. But this time when he pulled in, something was different. My truck was parked sideways, blocking the exit. He honked twice. I walked out calmly, holding a clipboard and my phone recording. "Morning, Tyler," I said. "This driveway's off limits now. You've been warned enough times." He rolled his eyes. "Whatever, old man. My mom said you can't touch my car." "Funny," I said, "because your mom doesn't own this driveway, and now neither do you." Right then, the tow truck pulled up behind him, big and loud. Karen ran out from her house in slippers, screaming, "You can't do that! That's private property!" I turned the camera toward her. "Exactly," I said, "my property." The tow operator checked my paperwork, all legal, signed by my lawyer. Then, in front of the entire neighborhood, he hooked the Porsche, lifted it off the ground, and drove it straight to Mike's yard. Karen's face twisted, her screams turning into shrieks that echoed down the street. Tyler shouted, "Mom, do something!" But she couldn't. She had no authority left.
I followed the truck to the yard, camera still rolling. When Mike lowered the car onto the scale, he looked at me and said, "You sure about this?" I nodded slowly. Crush it. The sound was sharp, metal folding like tinfoil, glass shattering, pride collapsing. Karen and her son stood just outside the gate, watching in disbelief. It wasn't just a car being destroyed. It was the symbol of every fake threat, every lie, every morning of arrogance. When it was done, I walked over to her, calm and steady. "You said this wasn't my driveway," I said softly. "Guess it's not your Porsche either." Entitlement doesn't survive the weight of proof or a junkyard press.
When the crushing stopped, there was a silence so thick, it felt like the whole world was holding its breath. Karen's face was pale, her son stood frozen, staring at the flattened metal that used to be his pride. The roar of the crusher faded into the hum of the yard, and all that remained was the sound of glass rolling across concrete. She finally found her voice. You're insane!" she shouted, trembling with rage. "You'll pay for this! That car was worth more than your house!" I met her glare calmly. "Maybe," I said, "but at least my house and my driveway are paid for." She lunged forward, but Mike stepped between us, wiping his hands on a rag. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "everything done here was by the book. Paperwork solid. You might want to take that up with your lawyer." Karen's anger broke into disbelief. She turned to her son. "Say something! Don't just stand there!" But Tyler didn't. His phone was out, recording. For the first time, he wasn't the one laughing. He pointed the camera at the crushed Porsche, then at me, then at his mother. "Mom," he said quietly, "you lied to me. About everything." Her mouth fell open. "What are you talking about?" He showed her the post on his screen, the viral clips, the police report, the fake HOA letters everyone online had now seen. The internet had already declared its verdict. Karen wasn't a victim anymore. She was the villain. And Tyler? He was just a spoiled kid dragged into his mom's fantasy of control. The ride home was silent. I could see them through their windshield. Karen's jaw tight, eyes glassy, hands shaking on the wheel. Tyler slumped in the seat, head down. For the first time, they looked small, human even. That night, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The video of the Porsche being crushed had gone everywhere. Millions of views, shares, duets, commentary. Some people called me a hero, others said I went too far. But every single one agreed on one thing. Karen finally got what she deserved. Still, I didn't celebrate. Revenge has a strange taste. It's sweet at first, then quiet. I sat on my porch, staring at the empty driveway. Duke rested his head on my foot. The wind carried faint laughter from the next block, and for once, it wasn't aimed at me. Then my phone buzzed again. This time, a message request. It was from Tyler. "Hey, I wanted to say, sorry. She made me do it. I didn't get it until now." For a long moment, I just stared at the screen. Then I typed back. "Apology accepted. Learn from it." A few seconds later, he replied, "I already have." And just like that, the story changed shape, from war to lesson. Sometimes crushing metal isn't revenge. It's the sound of someone finally learning respect. A week passed, and the neighborhood was almost unrecognizable. The tension that used to hang in the air like humidity had evaporated. No Porsche, no shouting matches, no fake HOA letters taped to doors. For the first time in months, mornings felt peaceful again. Kids rode their bikes down the street, mail got delivered without side eyes, and Duke slept on the porch without barking at shadows. But peace doesn't erase the past. It only gives it room to echo. And for Karen, those echoes were loud. She'd become a ghost in her own kingdom. The woman who once ruled block meetings and gossiped about community standards now walked with her head low, sunglasses on even in cloudy weather. People didn't wave anymore. They looked away. The power she worshipped was gone, replaced by whispers and awkward silence. One afternoon, I saw Tyler sitting alone on the curb outside their house. No music, no phone, just him, staring at his shoes. I walked over, not out of pity, but out of something quieter, understanding. He looked up, hesitant. "I guess you hate me," he said. I shook my head. "No, kid, I just hate what you did. But hate doesn't fix people." He frowned. "I didn't mean for it to get that bad. She thought she was protecting me." I sighed. Sometimes the people who say they're protecting you are really protecting their pride. He nodded, eyes glistening. "I sold what was left of the car," he said. "Donated the money to a veterans group. Mom doesn't know yet." That caught me off guard. I didn't say anything for a moment. Then I smiled faintly. Good choice. That's how you rebuild what's broken, one right thing at a time. He smiled, small but real. "Thanks for not ruining my life more than she already did." "Kid," I said gently, "you ruined your own car. I just helped you see what it was worth." That night, as the sun dipped low, I sat on the porch again, a warm cup of coffee in my hand. Across the street, Karen stood in her yard, staring at the spot where the Porsche used to sit. For a moment, her eyes met mine. No anger this time, no defiance, just quiet, maybe regret. She mouthed something, I couldn't hear it, but I knew what it was. "I'm sorry." I nodded once, nothing more. Some battles don't need words to end. The neighborhood, the people, even Karen, they'd all learned something the hard way. Not about cars or driveways, but about boundaries, respect, and how fragile pride can be when faced with truth. You can rebuild a car, but once pride breaks, it never drives the same again. Months later, life had found its rhythm again. The neighborhood had moved on, but the story of the crushed Porsche still floated around like a local legend. New families who moved in would whisper, "That's the house where the HOA lady's son lost his Porsche." And old residents would smirk, pretending not to remember every second of it. My driveway stayed empty, clean, respected, and finally mine. But what mattered more wasn't the peace of the pavement, it was the peace inside me. I'd fought back without raising a hand, without breaking a law, just standing up for what was right. And somehow, that made it all worth it. One crisp Sunday morning, as I worked on fixing my old Chevy in the garage, a knock came on the side door. When I opened it, there was Karen, not with her pearls or her clipboard this time, but with a small box in her hands. Her eyes were softer, tired maybe, but human. "I came to return this," she said quietly, handing me the old HOA violation sign she'd once nailed to my fence. "You should have it, as a reminder." I looked at it, then at her. A reminder of what? She took a breath. "That I can't own everything I see, and that maybe people deserve more respect than property lines." I smiled faintly. "Took you long enough." She almost laughed, just a flicker of it. "Yeah, I guess it did." She turned to leave but paused. "By the way, Tyler enlisted. Said he wanted to do something real for once. I didn't stop him." That hit me harder than I expected. For the first time, I felt proud of that kid. "He'll do fine," I said. "He's got the right reason now." Karen nodded, her voice trembling a bit. "You know, you're not who I thought you were." I replied, "That's the thing about judging people, Karen. You never really know until you stop talking and start listening." She gave a small nod, then walked away slowly, sunlight catching the side of her face. Later that night, I hung that old HOA sign in my workshop, not as a trophy, but as a story. A reminder that justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's quiet, patient, and poetic. And as I looked out across the calm street, I said softly to myself, in the end, respect isn't given by force, it's earned, one boundary at a time.